Okay, we have here the Six of Wands. And this is all about leadership, leading the charge, leading the way. This person is riding on a horse, and they've got a lot of people cheering them on, a lot of people kind of like following their lead, and a lot of people that trust that this is a rightful leader that has a lot of wisdom, a lot of skills, a lot of expertise that will not lead us astray. So not only is this a card about physical accomplishment in the real world, you know, managing people, supervising people, telling people how to do things in a proper way, getting a lot of recognition, being thrust in a position of power or leadership because people really, really believe that you have what it takes to lead others and not lead others astray. And so, once again, what I heard was, you know, the road to leadership it can be a lonely road, mainly because you have your truth that you are definitely sticking by, regardless of what other people might say or might feel about what you're doing. Okay, sometimes we have to make the difficult decisions. And one of the examples that came to mind is, and this is something that I've seen play out a lot in a work situation. Your supervisor, for example, if you're in a supervisory position, or if you're working under and you have a supervisor, your supervisor is not supposed to be your friend. Okay. We should, you know, promote people according to merits. We should demote people according to their demerits. And we should always assign projects, assign things to people based on their skills, their expertise. So the fact that, you know, we're not supposed to be friends with our subordinate, I feel like it speaks a lot to fairness and justice, and, you know, just the whole concept of being able to rule almost like with strength and with clarity, and not let the human emotions and, you know, the friendship ties and all of those things affect the decisions that we make from this higher vantage point. So I hope that makes sense, because I'm seeing a lot of things here where there is socializing, like socializing in the work front. Okay. Like, so, I'm seeing like people coming in by your office, gossiping about so-and-so. And I feel like these people might be subordinates. These people might be working under you, or they are in a position that is below you. Like they're answering to you, or they're answering to other people that are in your same position. And they're bringing in a lot of gossip. So the Three of Cups is traditionally, you know, all about socializing, mingling. But I feel like there is a lot of socializing, mingling on the job. And I feel like it's affecting the morale of a work environment. It's almost like singling people out for as subjects of gossip, singling people out for, it's just not a healthy environment. And I feel like you are turning your back on that. Okay? You're turning your back on this type of low vibrational energy, mainly because you're thinking, especially if this is at work, and I feel like it is, with the Six of Pentacles here, this is about fairness. This is about the distribution, the weighing out the pros and the cons, as well as trying to do the things that is just and that is right, trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, not listening to what other people say about that one specific person, but then judging the other person based on their contribution, based on their merits, based on the tangible physical things that you feel that person contributes, regardless of what other people might say about this person. So I feel like there's somebody in your midst that is very different from the herd. They're not a bandwagoner. They beat to their own drums. We have here the Hermit. It's someone who's a little bit reclusive. They do their own thing. They might be a little bit slower than other people around them. Okay. And the reason I say that is, I'm getting like the age might be a factor. So everybody in your work environment might be a little bit more, on the younger age scale. Hence there's this cattiness and a little bit of gossip. And then somebody else that is a little bit more like mature, and they feel like they don't really fit in this environment. They don't really care that they fit in, and they just feel like, I don't really want to be a part of this energy. I'm just gonna, nose to the grindstone, do my own thing, do my own work. And at the end of the day, it's like, we're here to work. We're not here to socialize and mingle and commit time theft. And, so that's where I feel like you are at, or you are defending somebody who is a target of gossip, and you're just like, I'm over it. We're just here to work. We're not here to, mull over this energy. So you're turning your back and you're moving forward. And I feel like that's why they say being in a leadership position a lot of the times too, we're not supposed to be friends to our subordinates. We're supposed to be fair. We're supposed to be just. We're not supposed to, feed into this type of low vibrational energy. We're supposed to turn our nose at it, because this is a proper situation for you to turn your nose at. And you need to just kind of not listen to the gossip, and just, do your own thing. Let your intuition guide you away from this, or let your intuition help you decide who is a worthy person for promotion, for example, who's a worthy person for me to give this project to. Even though the decisions that you make and the people that you really rely on, they might not be a popular choice, but they are the right choice. Okay. So I definitely feel for many of you, there might be a little bit of gossipy cattiness in the work front. And I see you kind of like squashing it. It's like, I see this boot landing down really hard on the ground, and just like, digging your heels in, squashing something, nipping something in the bud, not letting something, fester, and not letting, it's almost like you're telling somebody, this is not acceptable behavior, get back to work. It's almost like that. And I feel like the cornerstone of it is this, muted, energy behind the scenes, where somebody's like talking about other people, or like they're like leaving their workstation in order to gossip, in order to exchange stories, and the work is not getting done. And I feel like you might have, whoever was in charge might have turned their nose up at it. I'm seeing a lot of people who are cowardly. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people in your work environment, maybe like a fellow coworker who might be in a supervisory position. They are aware of this, and nothing has been done about it, because I feel like what it is they're weighing out, if I put myself in the crossfires, if I put myself in the crosshairs and say something, these people are not going to like me. So I definitely feel somebody who is a little bit cowardly, who is in a position of prominence, and they have the voice of authority. For some of you, you could be dealing with an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, somebody who is in a position of authority, and they should have nipped the situation in the bud, but they let it fester. They let it go on for a really long time. And now it's like, they might have told you to do it, or you feel like, this person is not ruling the right way. They're not living up to their capabilities. They're too cowardly to act on this. So I'm going to take charge of the situation. And I feel like as a result of it, people are really seeing you as a major player in your work environment. Okay. I'm also seeing, if this is something that you need to do, I also feel like there might have been a falling out recently based on the way that you might have handled the situation. And I'm sensing that you might not realize as well. Like you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. Okay. You feel like you didn't do anything wrong. You turn your back on this. So that's what I'm getting here. What I have here, the last 4 cards, I have a situation here where you had to leave people behind. And I'm seeing a lot of water energy as well as sword energy. Okay, so water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. I have here the Three of Swords and the Five of Cups. Letting people walk away from your life who are no longer contributing, okay? Who are no longer putting in the effort, who are no longer putting in the energy, who you are no longer emotionally invested in. So this is a severance, walking away, dealing with people and where you kind of know where you stand with them because they've revealed themselves. I'm seeing somebody who might be a little bit two-faced, somebody who, like, you know, say one thing when they mean another, say one thing when you're out of sight, and then they say another thing when you're in the picture. So I definitely feel there is somebody who's very duplicitous, and I feel like a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I'm seeing very, very strong Pisces and Cancer, and then Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, air sign energy. And I feel almost like for some of you, there might have been some type of a third party situation where somebody is giving to two people and they're not being upfront and honest about it. For some of you, this might have already happened in the month of March. And I feel like, you know, the month of April is where you're processing all the information, okay? I'm also feeling as well, there's a lot to be said here. This three energy, three spilled cups, Three of Swords, where I feel like you're coming to this sense of awareness. You're coming to this sense of like, this person didn't choose me, or they really, really hurt my pride. And when you hurt a Leo's pride, you know, when you prick their pride, it's almost like they could love you to death. But they will never, ever, ever give you the benefit of the doubt. They will never put themselves back in that situation where they can be hurt or where you prick their pride. So I definitely feel a situation where you turn your back on it. You definitely just turn your back and you're like, I deserve a lot more. I'm not going to be begging anybody to choose me. I'm not begging anybody to come back. And I'm not going to let anybody see me hurt, see me, cower, see me injured or disappointed or hurt that I was not the chosen one. So I feel like somebody, you know, thought that you would be coming back to them. And I'm sensing that I feel like you did really care about them. And I feel like, you know, they really cared about you. But they made a poor choice. This was a terrible lapse of judgment in their mind. And they don't realize that once you make up your mind, they don't realize that you're a fixed sign. Once you make up your mind, you stick to it. And especially, you know, once like somebody hurts your ego or hurts your pride, that's it. There's no going back. There's no second chances. You kind of wash your hands of it, even though it hurts, even though it stings, even though it is disappointing, even though you're always going to remember this. And so I definitely feel like, you know, somebody picked the wrong person to mess around with. Somebody picked the wrong opponent. Somebody really should not. It's a very, very poor lapse of judgment. And as a result of it, you are kind of just crossing them off your list. Okay. It's like you're now on my, you're now blacklisted. I'm no longer going to get involved in this. I'm seeing like the faucet and the hand rinsing. So like you're washing your hands clean of this situation and you're turning your nose up at it. But I feel like it's a very appropriate gesture because you don't want to be involved in it anymore. And we have here the Ten of Swords. It really does hurt, Leo. It really did a number on you. And I feel like this is not something that you will admit to other people. Like, this person really hurt me. Here are all the ways in which they hurt me. And the other person will never get the satisfaction of seeing you, you know, sitting there explaining to them all the ways in which they hurt you. I feel like there was a serious breach of trust here. Somebody did something that they promised they would never do. And I definitely feel like there might have been a social situation, like a love relationship type of a situation. If you are starting out dating and socializing with somebody, It's almost like they made plans with you, and then at the last minute, they cowardly. I'm getting so frustrated with whoever you're dealing with. They cowardly withdrew, pulled away, didn't have the nerves to tell you, didn't, have the dignity to, they didn't have the dignity to give you the truth. And they expect you to kind of like, check up on them, follow up on them. Are we still on? Are we still doing this? And you're just like, no, you're blacklisted now. You don't get to talk to me. You don't get to communicate with me. I'm ghosting you. And I feel like, they're cowering in fear. They're assessing the situation and trying to figure out, how do I make this come back? How do I fix it? Because I feel like you're dealing with somebody who never takes life seriously. And the energy that I'm seeing here for the Leo people, you're very serious. And there's definitely nothing wrong with that, okay? You're very serious. At work, you get your things done. At home, you run your household. Like, the food, the meals are always on the table. Mealtime is like clockwork. Nighttime is like clockwork. All the kids are bathed. All the kids are put to bed. You delegate like certain time frames for your friends, for your family, for your children, for your significant other. Everything in your life is perfectly compartmentalized, because who has time for BS, right? You're a busy woman or male watching this, whoever you are that's watching this, the Leo person, not the cross watcher. You're very serious. Everything is neatly compartmentalized, and everything in your life is neat and orderly, because you have a gazillion things to do. And you're dealing with somebody who is just like, their energy is very, very low. They wake up and then they decide, what am I going to do today? I have like so much free time. What am I going to do? I'm going to talk to this person and see if they want to get lunch. I'm going to talk to this person and see if they want to watch a movie. So it's like you're dealing with somebody who's very fluid, who is very like easily, I feel like they sway with the tides, okay? And I feel very strong here. The moon signifies, this is like a Cancer, Pisces type of energy. They're very, very fluid. It's like, I'll go along with whatever the group wants. Whoever wants to do this, I'll go along with it. And you're just like, who has time for that? Who has time to sit there and crowdsource and try to decide, what to do today, asking everybody for their opinion? Who has time for that? So you're like, every time you deal with this person, you've been very frustrated, okay? To a certain extent, Leo can be very, very understanding. But there has to be that baseline, love and mutual respect to begin with. When you love somebody, if it's a family member who's had like, a rough patch, who's hit like a bump in the road, and they need you, you're always going to be there, because that baseline has been established. You love this person. This person is your clan. This person is your family. But if it's some random stranger waltzing in and expecting you to kind of like just be there on the sideline so that they can sort out things in their own life while having you wait for them, that's a major no-no. And I feel like for many of you, there's a situation here where I feel like the other person really does care about you, okay? But they weren't taking the situation seriously. I feel like if you're newly dating, it's a person that had a lot of options. They're getting back into the world. They're super indecisive. And they're more like, go with the flow, come what may type of an attitude. And I feel like it drove you nuts. And I feel like you've had to cut this person out. If you're dealing with this type of wishy-washy energy, set your intentions early, make your intentions known very early that, I have a limited amount of time in the day. I devote my time to the people that matter to me. So don't waste my time. Okay. And I feel like that is something that needs to be said in every context, like friends, co-workers, subordinates, love interest, that is something that we need to establish early on. And fixed signs are really stickler for time, appointments, and punctuality. And like you can make plans with a fixed sign like months before. On the day of, they're always going to show up because they value punctuality. They value and they honor engagement. Okay, in whatever sense that's made, they really honor that, and so they will never forget. And so a slight to this is a major disrespect. And I feel like that's what it comes down to. There's a situation here where it's like a slight, like an action it's a minor action that has a host of other consequences. And I feel like somebody just, slipped up in a major way. In their mind, it's like, oh, it's just one thing. But no, in your mind, it's like the total amount of disrespect. It's like all of these things that you're doing shows to me that you're putting yourself first. You're not putting anybody else above your ego. So I feel like there's somebody here that made a really poor lapse of judgment in their interaction with you. The last card that we have is the Chariot. And the Chariot is like mustering all of your courage, all of your strength in order to move forward. So, Leos, I feel like it hurts. Okay, I feel like it really, really hurts. And I feel like there's a big part of you where it's like, it really hurts your pride. And you're not admitting to this person. You're not giving them, the satisfaction of seeing you brokenhearted. You're burying yourself in work. You're moving on. And this residual energy, I wish I could say that, coming into April, it's going to go away. I don't feel like it's going to go away. But I feel regardless, you're pulling your strength in order to not let it show on your face. And you're moving forward, which is really beautiful. It's very courageous. It's very brave of you. But I feel like you also have to let the other person know how they have affected you. And I feel like it could be as simple as, just telling them, I have a very limited amount of time, and I spend my time and my energy. I block out the time for people that matter to me. You, once upon a time, you matter to me. I allocated this amount of time for you. And you fudged up all of these plans. So you don't get that time anymore. And that's why I'm moving on. Giving them that benefit of, giving them that peace of your mind is going to be the satisfaction that you need to really move on, because I feel like you're upset, and I feel like you're suppressing it. Every time you feel that anger come on, you suppress it, so you don't really know why you're angry. You don't know why you're angry. And I feel like moving ahead without, having internally worked out these disappointments or these issues, it can be unhealthy. Give that person that peace of your mind, because I feel like that's what it is. You've got a lot of things going on in your life, and you've allocated a certain amount of time for this person, and they were disrespectful. And I see them on the outside looking in, okay? You might also be dealing with an earth sign, but I'm seeing more water and more air. If you have an earth sign, they're very reliable, earth signs in general. But I feel like, the placement of this King of Pentacles, this is a really strong, I'll be there for you, like whatever you need, I'll be there. Very slow moving, can be a little bit frustrating to deal with, but they are honorable. They're truthful, faithful, very honorable. If you have had like issues where there might have been trust issues, there might have been, like rumors of flirtation, I don't feel like it's an earth sign. Okay. And I feel like if you have an earth sign in your life, they're trying to balance things out in they might have like two jobs that are coming in and they're trying to decide between that. Okay. They're also in a situation where they might be going through a lot of job interviews, which is good for them. So just be a little bit patient. But on the other hand, I feel like there is somebody on the outside looking in. They don't even know how to approach you. I feel like their apologies are falling on deaf ears. I feel like they don't have the knowledge. I'm looking at this. It's almost like this. It's hollow. So I feel like the heart chakra might be hollow, or it's somebody who's looking in. They're trying to get their back to you. They're trying to approach you. They're trying to elicit some type of communication from you, but you've already shut the door. Lock the padlock. Like you've already disappeared, because this is a situation where somebody seriously misjudged a situation.